Hello, this is Steven Out, and we're here with another top 10 video. Today, I'll be doing my top 10 Kim Possible episodes. Now, as you know, a while ago, I did a review on the series, and what I want to do now is, after I reviewed a TV show, I like to do top 10 episodes from that said TV show. And I thought, well, with Kim Possible being one of my favorite cartoons of all time, I decided, well, let's give this one a crack, and see how I enjoy it. And who knows, probably do more of it in the future. But before we get into the actual top 10, I wanted to kick off with a few honorable mentions. Now, the honorable mentions go to Crush and Ill-Suited, or some people say Three-Suited, some say Ill-Suited. I'm not entirely sure what the episode's called, but apparently it's Ill-Suited. So why are these two honorable mentions? Well, these are the premieres to essentially their respective seasons, with Crush really being the real proper first episode of the whole Kim Possible series. At least that's what I believe it is, like the first proper episode. And Ill-Suited is essentially the first episode of season 4, which essentially was like a sort of like a mini reboot in a way, because after season 3 ended, they got like another season, which they didn't expect. They wanted 3 seasons. That's it. This got it like another renewal. So, I like it either way. These are just fun because they establish the tone of their seasons. And, well, the first one really established the tone of the series with a bit of comedy, action, and, high school drama. And essentially, the first one essentially sets the premise of the whole show. Kim Possible being a high school student with her best friend, Ron Stoppable, as her sidekick, as they go around on crime-fighting missions while at the same time, do high school life. It's essentially that type of premise, but with no secret identity. It's kind of out in the open with it. Ill-Suited essentially continues with what happened after season 3, well, the proper season 3 finale. Essentially sets up, well, how characters' lives are moving forward now. How Ron and Kim are now dating. They are now on their way, to, their senior year. But what happens here is Ron's a bit insecure and believes Kim's going to dump. Of course, that's not true. It's just Ron's imagination getting the better of him. And essentially, he decides to join the football team in order to, step up and become a jock since Kim's a cheerleader. I love now, again, they establish their seasons, and they're just really fun episodes. They get into the mindset of what you're going to expect. For the first one, what to expect from the show. But for the latter, what to expect for this season, what we are going to do. Things are different. The characters we know are changing more and more now. So that's why they're an honorable mention. Now, like I said, there's a few on the honorable mentions. There's a tie. I've also put, more ties on certain spots on this list because there's a lot of episodes that I felt they need at least addressing, or at least for me to at least talk about, as they are really fun and enjoyable. So, with that out of the way, let's kick off at number 10. Number 10 goes to Monkey Fist Strikes. This is the first in the Monkey Fist storylines that would continue throughout the series. Monkey Fist, real name Lord Monkey Fisk, I believe that it is. He's essentially this kind of British, essentially aristocrat, who first contacts the Possible team to come and help him retrieve this artifact. But what they don't know, he's secretly a essentially martial artist who has renamed himself Monkey Fist, and essentially believes in mystical monkey power, and essentially has spent a lot of the family fortune, or if not all of it, converting his hands and feet, essentially to look part monkey. I absolutely love this character, and I like the fact that we established in the series Ron has a phobia of monkeys. He's absolutely frightened of the mere existence of a monkey, freaks him out to no end. And really, this is where he kind of has to really step up to take down Monkey Fist, as even though Kim is present, it's really him and Monkey Fist go at it, and this has resulted in many people thinking Monkey Fist is Ron's truly arch nemesis. I really think that's really more with Gil, a one-shot villain, or a villain who only really appeared in 2 episodes, but Monkey Fist, I can definitely see the parallel. Also, a lot of things happen in this episode will pass on to other episodes, and I like how they never forgot it. Of what happened here, and whatever be brought up. Ron eventually getting mystical monkey power, though would rarely happen. Also, the introduction of the character Larry, Kim's cousin, essentially a nerd who Ron happens to get along with quite well because, again, Ron is, of course, a nerd. He comes from that sort of geeky background. Despite, in fact, not doing so well in school, he knows a lot with the sci-fi and gaming world. So the two really bond very well with that knowledge. And again, Monkey Fist is one of my favorite villains from the show. I'd say he's definitely in the top 3, and it's definitely one of the more reoccurring. And I like how the ending of, and I just like the fight scene between Monkey Fist and Ron. It is so well done. Just that ending scene with that musical score brings me chills every time. And just know that we are not done with Monkey Fist. It's absolutely fun, this episode. Number 9. Steel Wheels. First off, now this is the second appearance of Motor Ed, voiced by John DiMaggio, who also happens to have voiced Draken. Not only do we get these two in the same episode, essentially bantering off one another, essentially John DiMaggio talking to himself, but they made it because the voice actor is doing the same character. It has also established the idea that they are cousins, which again is probably to tie in the fact that the voice actor is doing both characters. I like how the two just work off so well. Now, Dr. Draken is a mad scientist, essentially tries to be the mad scientist's classic supervillain, but is a comedic goof and essentially just a lovable doof. You know, but Motor Ed is a mechanical genius, but also a complete rebel. He loves rock and roll. He loves the mullet hairstyle. I kind of feel that this guy is still trapped in the 90s. I think, was the mullet a hairstyle of the 90s or was it the 80s? I believe it was the 90s. Anyway, he has that kind of thing. So when the two team up to build an unstoppable car machine, you're naturally going to get some fun with Shigo really getting annoyed in the background. We also bring back the character of Felix, who was of course previously introduced in Motor Ed's first appearance. And it's also established that continuing that Ron and him have really a strong friendship. And Kim gets a little bit jealous that, you know, that Ron's spending so much time with Felix and not time with her. Again, hinting the fact that Kim may have some feelings there, or just feels a bit left out. So I love that they do that with that storyline. Each works so well together, as because you bring back Felix, Motor Ed doesn't forget the last time he's encountered him, and in order to improve their, essentially, Doomveed, which is what they're calling their destructive vehicle, they want to essentially steal the kid's Felix's wheelchair to adapt it to their car. It is absolutely a fun episode, a fun ride, with really just a bit of character development and the things that were remembered in the first episode being brought back, and a few things that are also remembered are fully explained. Like Draken says, "Must you say seriously?" all to Motor Ed, "Must you say seriously all the time?" And Motor Ed saying to Draken, "What kind of secret hideout is this if everyone knows you live here?" Which I absolutely love that little joke that they always make with Draken. And I like how Shigo is kind of being caught up in this and is kind of having to tag along so much. It's fun as hell with this episode, and that's what I like it. It addresses continuity in previous episodes, but just goes all the way fun with it. You just gotta love it. Number 8. Exchange. This is a infamous episode that would set a lot of Ron's character and throughout most of the series when it gets brought up. It is now in this episode called Exchange. Ron is especially out of nowhere is sent to an exchange school after they exchange with a local student. He then goes to what is the Yamanouchi school, which is secretly a secret ninja school, but he's brought there for a reason. Sensei of the school, a master sensei, bring him here because the founder of the school had mystical monkey powers, Taishin Pekwa. Both Ron and Monkey Fist were both exposed to it, and to an extension Rufus. But when it was destroyed, no one else could be exposed, but only those two. He sees Ron has a potential path and wants to groom him. To be on this path. It's another case where Ron has to go up against Monkey Fist, but it also introduces a lot of characters that will be introduced throughout the series or occasionally pop up, like Master Sensei, voiced by George Takei from Star Trek, which I really like. They do that. He's always great with. He has such a voice that works so well in voice working, and also Yuri, essentially a potential love interest for Ron, who would eventually appear. Who I can't wait to appear later in episodes. There's of course another side plot with the exchange student that is replacing Ron in Middleton. Happens to have all the girls fawning over him, including Kim and Monique. All fun, but it's really this bit of the aspect it really does. It really shows that Ron is capable, just as we saw with Monkey Fist and Camp Wonderweed, where Ron is capable of doing missions by himself. This is really where he has these abilities. But the funny thing is, it comes, like he says in one episode, it comes and goes. He doesn't really know why it happens the way it happens. And I just love the comedic banter and really how he's developed a real friendship and a real just almost love for the Yamanuchi place. First, he didn't feel like he belonged there, didn't fit in. By the end, he really loves it there. Well, you know, loves the interaction with it with Master Sensei and Yuri. But when he leaves, he is promised a sacred vow to never reveal what has happened at the Yamanuchi place, agreed to keep it a secret, a vow of silent secret. So he couldn't tell Wade or Kim or any of his friends back home what happened here, which is a really nice, fun thing, which would be eventually picked up in another episode later down the line. This is a really fun one, and again, I will be honest, some of my episodes of Famous Ones really mostly focused on Ron more than anyone else, but that is just because for me, Ron is such a really great and fun character for me, and the one I really most identify with out of the show. Number 7. Stop, Team Go, and Bonding. Okay, this is probably one of my first many ties on this list. First off, Stop, Team Go is basically, well, an old villain from the Team Go Rogues Gallery, Electronique, has busted out and has turned all the members of Team Go from good guys to bad. However, it's also turned Shigo from bad to good. You see, it's revealed in an origin story in a previous episode that Shigo used to be a good guy. Along with her brothers, formed Team Go, a superhero crime-fighting group, when they all got powers. But as time went on, she grew to not really get along that well with her brothers, but also really enjoyed the evil. Eventually, she left the team, and eventually went to form her own path as being essentially a mercenary and a sidekick to Draken, and basically becoming a notorious member in Kim Possible Rogues Gallery. It's also revealed when she left, the team kind of fell apart. Here not only is one of their old villains back from the day, back out to no doubt exact revenge for Team Go locking her up, but also want to destroy their reputation and essentially, you know, take over the respected city, Go City. Now, even though there is fun in that, what I really love about this is that Shigo used to be a good guy. And when she reverts to good, we get to see what she would have been like as a good guy. When she's evil, you get the sort of femme fatale sexy look. Here, she get this cute, adorable, like the girl next door thing, which I think that's what she would have been when she started out, but as time went on, she probably grew out of that and grew to this more villainous side that was a part of her. I also like how Kim's relationship, she almost becomes a big sister figure to Kim throughout the episode. Ron is creeped out by it, but for good reason. He has the past of constantly going up against her and how he's always been hit and hurt in so many ways. I like that's really the interesting bit here. It ends, of course, with the tragic fact that Shigo goes back to villainy, and it's an overall fun thing with the Attitudinator, which was introduced in a previous episode that turns, you know, back to evil, and basically Team Go back to good. I also like that they bring back the evil Ron, who was introduced in Bad Boy and showed that Ron, when turned evil, is a very capable and arguably the most villainous villain in probably the Kim Possible Rogues Gallery. So I like that. And my favorite, and the ending to that scene is when she goes back to villain, she's burning the pictures of her and Kim hanging out at the mall, and you can clearly tell that she's, you know, even though she's evil, you can clearly tell she's almost regretting doing that. And you can just look at that picture of Kim and Shigo just, you know, having a blast, having fun. It's really sad, because imagine if she stayed good. What could she have been like to more if the series went on? It's what it is. And bonding. Basically, bonding the possible team end up going up against Professor Dementor, who has been established many times, but this is probably the first time where Team Go actually went, the stoppable team actually went up against him properly, rather than being really cameos. One of their Dementor's devices ends up getting in the hands of Ron, who accidentally drops it, resulting in Kim and Ron being essentially attached to the people they hate the most. Kim with Bonnie, and Ron with Barkin. And it's a classic case of them being stuck together to find out through each other's lives. Ron gets to see what Barkin really does after high school, and Kim really understands more of Bonnie's life. such as how she feels insecure around her sisters, and Barkin being just, even though there's mean to Ron at school, he finds out that Barkin is really nice when it comes to this essentially Girl Scout group called Pixies, where he is the rank of Brigadier. I like how when Ron says you're a Pixel, you're a den mother, he says Brigadier Pixie. Both him and Rufus immediately salute, which is fun as hell. Like how they when they hear the word Brigadier, they just salute, which is fun. And I also like how Bonnie, when she's forced to go on a mission, she's pointing out like the over-the-top antics and says, "What's the point?" And they say it's how it's done. So I like how she's pointing out like what's the point with the over-the-top villainy aspects. And the episode ends with them getting to understand a bit more about the person they bonded with. It's a shame with Kim and Bonnie, it never progressed further than that to eventually stop hating each other but being more friends, which I thought was a real missed opportunity for the creators to go in that direction. And in many ways, I think it really affected Ron and Barkin, because as they went on, they would have this sort of, the two don't like each other, eventually would form an actual good, I guess, reasonable relationship, to say the least. But that's the furthest thing I've ever got. Bonding is another episode that really shows the insight to their hated characters and gives us, the audience, to really understand more about them. Anyway, number 6. A Stitch in Time. If you remember my review, Stitch in Time is essentially a 3-parter turned into a movie, and it was premiered during season 2. Like I said, I was never a huge fan of it, but despite me saying not being a fan of it, doesn't mean I don't like it. I do occasionally come back to watch it every now and again. And basically, A Stitch in Time, it basically revolves around, essentially exploring a bit of Ron and Kim's past, how they met, how the possible team came together. But it also revolves around, but even with that, it's about time travel, past, present, future. Or present, past, and future, I think it is. And basically, Ron has to move away. Kim feels upset, of course, his best friend's moving, and they're worried about how can they make the possible team work from different continents, which they find out they're struggling with when Draken, Shigo, Duff Killigan, and Monkey Fist all team up to essentially create this monkey idol to go into to do some time traveling shenanigans to defeat Kim Possible once and for all. I like the aspect that all the villains are teaming up here. And even though I don't I'm not a huge fan, because I don't know. I like the idea we're exploring Kim and Ron's relationship, which is no doubt to lead further into them possibly being a romantic couple later in the series. I also like the third part where they go into the future, where it turns out one of Kim's villains has taken over and become the whole, leader of the world, finally conquered the world. At first, Kim thinks it's Draken, but it's revealed to be Shigo. And basically, Kim and Ron has to team up with future incarnations of Wade, Kim's twin brothers, and essentially an army of naked mole rats that are revealed to be descendants of Rufus to team up to take down Shigo and her army once and for all. Now, I like a few things that are done in this episode. First off, I find it interesting that Shigo succeeded where all the villains failed at taking over the world. Now, even though I find that interesting, I also find some flaws with it, as really, Shigo, I never got the impression that she wanted to be the big bad. She was always comfortable being the number 2 and just being an average villain, and never had the grand ambitions of taking over the world. She was always like a villain's number 2. I never really bought that aspect. However, I do like that because she was a competent villain, she managed to take over, but also she has a big ego. She's making everyone wear her clothing, and it's resulted in the resistance, especially when Monique says, "Knows where I was going to work to Club Banana and style that look," which clearly got under her skin. Clearly she has the ego, and she can really back it up. I also like how she managed to succeed in taking down Kim Possible in the past. Again, good time travel. She managed to succeed in that by separating Kim and Ron. Sent Ron's family to Norway, separating the team. As it's revealed, even though Kim is a capable fighter, there's something about Ron that has her grounded, a shoulder to cry on, and essentially encourages her. The two worked pretty solid as a team. Because of the split up, it limited her effectiveness and essentially was not really that good of a crime fighter. So that, I found, was an actually genius plan on her part. But ironically, her revealing the plan of how she did all this ultimately resulted in her downfall. Like the classic villain trope. Which I absolutely loved. The idea that, it's just that was a downfall. The villain trope. Which she would always get on Draken's case to never do, as that always opened the opportunity to be taken down. It happened that way. All fun and good. And honestly, it's really, this episode, this three-parter, essentially movie, really explores Kim and Ron's relationship and why it has worked for so long. It's really fun and really great stuff. Even though I'm not a huge fan of it, I do acknowledge it is a fun movie. You can get some enjoyment out of it. And I could definitely watch it and fun, but when it comes to the three-parters turned into movies, this is always the one I'm going back to least. But now I see why it is so fun, and really opens up the story, both how the possible team formed, how Kim and Ron first became friends. It really opens up the backstory to these characters, and essentially Kim and Ron's very first mission, which essentially sets up the whole premise of the series, which was absolutely fun. Number 5. Number 5 is another two-parter, Two to Tudor and Tick Tick Tick. Now, Tick 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 is really in the chronology of the, well, even though it's really the episode where really Kim and Ron first go up against Dr. Draken. And it's really just Dr. Draken's very first scheme of creating a nanotech bomb, which ends up getting stuck on Kim. Whilst that's happening, Kim is being sent to detention for the first time. And I just really like the aspect. This is the first time the two go up against, Draken and Shigo for the first time. Two of the most popular villains on the show that the Team Possible team are always going up against. And that's really it. It's their first encounter, which I love that aspect so much. Two to Tudor is basically, Kim and Ron are basically in home ec. And even though Kim's failing at home ec, Ron is excelling. It turns out he's a phenomenal cook, and is excelling so much, Kim basically wants to go on a mission just to make herself feel good. In the earlier seasons, it's clear every time Kim didn't do good at a certain subject, she, would always try to get on a mission to get into a comfort zone she's good at, especially since half the time the thing she doesn't excel at, Ron does, which I feel kind of makes her shallow a bit, but it's understandable at that age, and with that, and honestly, with that little bit of an ego, well, I wouldn't say ego, but just that sort of, I can do anything complex, rather than admit she can't, do anything, she, her course of action is to go on this crime-fighting, thing just to get out of it. But whilst that's happening, as basically Ron has to tutor Kim in home ec, Senor Senior Jr., who is our villain in the Kim Possible Rogues Gallery, his father, Senor Senior Senior, has hired him a tutor to train him to be a better villain, and with money could buy, he got Shigo. An interesting combination between the pair, but turns out to be a very effective crew. And essentially, even though Shigo developed a fondness for Junior, even to the point where in Season 4, when Junior made a breakout, he got Shigo out to help him with the caper, and Shigo agreed to go along with it. But it was less begrudgingly, but more out of a genuine, I could say friendship and partnership that the two formed, which is really great. These are just episodes I love coming back. I like their concepts. The Team Possible's first mission against Draken and Shigo, and Two to Tudor, for once, seeing the insecurities with Kim and having to overcome it, really played more in this episode, but not, and also how what's going on in Kim's life is mirroring in the superhero life with what the villains are going through, which I find really fun. So with that out of the way, these are really fun episodes to give them a watch. Number 4, Gorilla Fist. Another fun episode of mine. I really love these so much. Gorilla Fist basically picks up the Yamanouchi School storyline introduced in Season 2. In Season 3, after essentially something mystical happened at school, Ron wants to lock himself away from the world, until Yuri comes in, revealing that it was just Sensei trying to contact him, how Sensei's been kidnapped, and they believe Monkey Fist. Clearly he's having some kind of respect and admiration for Sensei, and even generally seeing him as both a friend, I would say, Ron and Rufus agree to help, but they still have to keep the secret of what happened at the Yamanouchi school from Kim. But Kim starts to pick up on something, such as meeting Yuri, who she's never met. I like how they keep that bit of continuity in this episode. And as they go on this adventure, Kim essentially secretly tags along, as she knows that something's off here. Ron has never ever kept a secret from her. And plus, it's even revealed in previous episodes, Ron can't keep a secret from her. He tries and usually fails. And essentially, it's basically Ron and Yuri trying to track down Monkey Fist to get Sensei back, while Kim is following, clearly jealous of a girl, with Ron being with a girl. Everyone's pointing out that she's jealous, and she doesn't admit it. My favorite line in this episode to this day is still when she gets to a place that's revealed where Ron and Yuri just left. She says the line, "Is this Yuri girl dragging him around the world?" And Wade goes, that sounds familiar. I like that little aspect, and it really just shows that Kim really does show some feelings towards Ron, and I like that aspect of the character so much. And honestly, and it leads to really the ending I won't really spoil, but let's just say it ends with essentially Kim knowing about the whole Yamanouchi school, but however, it turns out Monkey Fist didn't kidnap Sensei. Who it is, I'll leave that a mystery, but the villain is kind of in the title. You'll find out in a bit. This is a really fun episode. It has Kim get up to date with the Yamanouchi school, which they would play a big role in the last season, and it's, I think, an episode that people will genuinely love and enjoy. It is a really fun episode. Number 3. Graduations Part 1 and 2. I love this episode. It's the season 4 finale, and just the title suggests Kim and Ron are graduating high school, but there's some changes that Ron is getting insecure about, and Kim is too. They're graduating. Is this going to be the end of the possible team, with Kim clearly going off to high-stakes colleges, and Ron accepting that he's not probably going to any colleges? Whilst that's happening, Draken ends up getting some new ability to control plants and flowers, which is fun. But whilst this is happening, the part 1 ends with Kim getting kidnapped by aliens, Warmonger, and it's revealed, and we have seen aliens before in the season 4, where Draken ended up getting a new henchwoman named Warmonger. She and essentially her husband, Warhawk, have come to take over Earth. Essentially, Kim's graduation is put on hold for an alien invasion. I like how Ron doesn't stand around too. He's prepared to get Kim back no matter what, and essentially teams up with Shigo as it's revealed that the aliens have kidnapped Draken, and so the two have to team up to save the world and get their essentially friends. And Shigo, Draken's being Draken her boss, but I think Shigo has developed a little bit of feelings to Draken, which kind of is implied both in the episode, but a little hint that the two might get together at the end of the episode, at the end of the two-parter. This is really just a classic case of just wrapping things up. I genuinely like it as it wraps up the series nicely, but it also opens a possibility of a season 5 pickup, which I wouldn't have mind. And I see that, and I like the idea that went for a 2-part instead of a 3-part movie. I find it interesting. And there's a Grease reference, which has always been my favorite bit of the episode. We get that little, and it's just a nice way of wrapping up everyone's characters' arcs and overall fun. And basically, things that have been loose in both previous episodes and previous seasons come a bit full circle, with Ron's mystical monkey power finally being put more into play than anything else this episode. This is a fun 2-parter. Number 2. Emotion Sickness. Now, Emotion Sickness is declared the best episode of the series. Now, while I do agree with that, it is not my personal favourite episode. Emotion Sickness is basically, after another encounter with Draken and Shigo, like most of these episodes tend to do, they end up getting, Kim and Shigo end up getting what are called modulators attached to their necks. Of course, they don't know it, but basically, these devices have the ability to control people's emotions. And Ron accidentally picks up the remote rather than the communicator, where he ends up accidentally pressing buttons, resulting in both Shigo and Kim going through all these emotions, eventually being set on lovey-dovey. This is clearly a classic case of fan service, where I wonder if Kim and Ron as a relationship would work. And it also results in their proper first kiss, though under different circumstances. This is still, for me, one of my favorite episodes. It's definitely in the top 2 for me, never at number 1, but it's so fun overall. It's clearly hinting of what's to come and if we will enjoy it. Something about this episode just really sticks well with me, even after watching it. This is just fan service at its finest, like I said before. It opens the possibility of these two possibly being a romantic relationship, but it also opens up that maybe Shigo and Draken could work as a romantic relationship. This is just, for me, is just so well remembered by the fans. This is often, in like best moments of the series, and I agree. This is like a thing that we fans always love to rewatch when rewatching these episodes. This is just a really fun one. Now, even though people say this is the best episode, I think there's one that surpasses it. And I think we can all agree what it is. Number 1 goes to So the Drama. So the Drama is essentially another 3-parter turned into a movie, and it was the intended series finale. And they're saying they didn't get a season 4, this would have been a perfect way for the series to end. So the Drama is basically Team Possible going up once against Draken Shigo. For a finale, it makes sense to go up against those two villains, as honestly they're the most popular and the most reoccurring. It makes sense for them to be the true main antagonists. With that, Team Possible has to try and stop Draken's plan, but Draken is going all out this time. And we revealed the parts to his plan involve toll design, a new technology, Syntho drone with performance enhancement upgrades, and research into teen junk. And Kim can't figure it out because it's so over the place. Also, while this is happening, Kim is worried as the prom is coming up, and she doesn't have a date. But this time around, it's explored that she's feeling insecure because she's creeping guys out. They view her, she has this such macho image of, fighting goons out a window. Guys might be too afraid to go out with her, and she might realize that she might have to go out with Ron. I like how there's the social pressure. It's not shallow. There's this social scene in high school putting pressure on her to live up to this standard because she's a cheerleader, because she's super popular, she's pretty good looking. She has to be with a guy that ticks those criteria. Also, throughout this episode, Ron is also coming to the conclusion that he might have feelings for Kim too. And whilst this is happening, a new boy arrives in school named Eric, who seems to be Kim's dream guy, and Ron's feeling left out. Feeling like the third wheel. And that's really where the jealousy really starts, where he feels that maybe there might be more behind than what it is. I love the absolute, just like the one thing you got to appreciate about the 3-parters is they always have the cinematic all-out feel they go for it, where there's this high-stakes stuff. It feels really like grand and epic, which makes sense, especially for this case. There's a few callbacks, both to the first episode with Nakasumi-san, who was the toy designer from the very first episode, callbacks to certain lines. Ron's still mad, the Draken still cannot remember his name. And just by now, Ron and Kim's relationship, kind of what it's been through, what Kim's going through, and that's teen issues, all that. I love the aspect of it, and it's also the introduction to Kim's famous battle suit that you see in this picture. It is perhaps, I say, one of the top 3 costumes Kim has worn throughout the series. The classic mission suit, the classic civilian clothes, and this. These are just the 3 most iconic clothing choices of hers, and are all fun. And honestly, it has such a payoff that we all wanted. And it is, I can tell that they just want to go all out on this. There's always rumors that So the Drama was actually meant to be a live-action movie. I'm glad it was 3-parter because it just closed out the series so well. And yeah, it is really great. Give it a watch. It is my favorite episode, and it's a really great animated movie. And honestly, Kim, so not the drama.